If I'm doing all these things and not preparing for that left-hand turn that's coming down the pike, and I'm not communicating that, and I'm not making sure my staff's on board, and I'm not making sure the parents are on board, and I'm not making sure the kids, yes, the kids need to be on board as well. If I'm not making sure all of the community stakeholders are on board, I have no right to destroy this program by just making a hard left-hand turn because I think it'd be cool.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to School After Hours podcast, where we talk about all things related to out-of-school time programming and education. I am your host, Jay Lee, and in this episode, we dive deep into the heart of what makes a program truly thrive, its culture. Our guest, Michael Garcia, shares why creating a positive program culture isn't just important, it's everything. You'll learn how focusing on happiness, health, and safety for both you and your staff can transform your organization from the inside out. We'll explore practical strategies for setting clear expectations, involving your community, and leading with empathy and intention. Whether you're looking to strengthen your team, engage your youth, or build lasting connections, this episode offers actionable solutions to help you create an environment where everyone can succeed. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. Hi, Mr. Michael.
Friends, how y'all doing?
So, Michael, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So in our previous recording, you gave us a little bit about your story and how you got involved in having your own business doing professional development for staff all over the U.S. So my question to you, starting with building positive program culture, what are some of the things that's important for youth development professionals to keep in mind?
It's everything. It's everything. Like I can't stress this enough. Like when you need to build an environment where people feel happy, healthy, and safe, it's all culture. I don't care. I do care, but I don't care if you got your homework done, right? Like I don't care that, I'm out of crayons. Like I care, but I don't. Like that's important, but it's not. Like creating a safe environment. Listen, in safe environment in 2025, right? Creating that safe environment is the single number one thing you could do to ensure that your, not even just kids, like your staff, your peers are happy, healthy, and safe. And so you're going to hear me say that probably a few times. Happy is pretty easy and measurable. I'm happy. We don't expect happiness all the time. That's not possible. But we expect a general happy, joyful, embracing environment that we create through tone of voice, through paint on the walls, to marketing things, to staff being positive and engaged with the kids, right? The second one is healthy. We got the same number of fingers and toes you dropped them off with, they're going home with, right? And in a summer camp world, it may not be their fingers and toes, but at least it's the same number. They could come back tomorrow. We'll figure out who's belong to who, right? But like their same number of fingers and toes, you can't eliminate risk. The only way to eliminate risk is to not run programs, and that's not what we're here for, right? But we can mitigate. We can actively work to resolve risk ahead of time and combat it when it happens. And I think the big part is safe, right? Are we creating a safe environment? And what does that look like? Well, for me, I'm a cisgender straight white man who's in his 50s. I have power because of who I am and what I was blessed to be born into and how I physically look. And so am I creating a safe space for my Black and brown communities? Am I creating a safe space for my LGBTQ communities? Am I creating a safe space for women to rise up and take leadership roles in my community and this environment that I'm creating here? And the only way to do that a lot of times is for me to open the door and hold it open while you walk through, and then shut up when you're speaking. That's it. And sometimes I walk in and, sometimes you feel like you walk in and open the door and I'm like, look what I brought in. Look at this person. No, man, shut up. Let them lead. Let them be. Let them do. So creating that whole happy, healthy, and safe environment is critical. And I've seen it destroy an organization, and I've seen organizations that are sub-level programming, but their culture is so amazing that they rise up above it. And it don't make a difference if they have one half flat basketball, because those kids will do or die that they're there. I think organizationally, like nonprofit organizations, and if you listen to the beginning part, we talked a lot about the why, a lot of why culture, but the one organization, nonprofit, that culturally I think really has an amazing link to is the Boys and Girls Club. Because when I meet Boys and Girls Clubs, they're like, I'm a club kid. You're 45 years old. Nope, I'm a club kid. I was born there. I was raised there. I lived there. I grew up there, and that's who I am. I am a club kid at heart. I used to say live or die by the why. I get that. And I thought I was really committed. And man, club kids are crazy in a good way in that. So that culture all stems down to what their mission and vision is and how they implement that. Not the big picture, not the website, not the CEO talking, the actions of the staff who work with the other people, whether it's a supervisor, whether it's a head counselor, whether it's a junior counselor, whether it's someone who understands it, but they can't articulate it because they grew up in it. I love that. I love that you can't explain it. You just know what it is. So.
Exactly. But you bring up a good point, though, especially when you're doing individual sites, because like in big organizations like YMCAs and Boys and Girls Clubs and so on and so forth, you're running your own individual site underneath this umbrella. So it brings me to the question, when you have culture or you're building culture, is it important to know what your site mission and vision is?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the mission, right? Because each organization has a mission, man, like I said, I grew up in the Y a long time ago, and to put Christian principles into practices through programs to build a healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. I can ramble that out, right? Ever since I was 23 years old when I learned that. And that, right? That's important. And each Y has their version of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great mission. I get that. That's good for board meetings. That's good for applying to grants, right? Like that's good for that. I challenge you to come up with your program vision of what that is. And then I'll even challenge you even more, come up with your group's vision. What is your camp group? What is your after school? What's your group, your huddle, your whatever you call them? What's your vision? And are you setting it, or are you as a team setting it?
Mm-hmm.
And what that's like? Because if you really drill down with the 5 whys, and not YMCA whys, but like, oh, well, we do this. Okay, well, why? Oh, well, we do it because of this. Okay, but why? And you keep asking those but whys, and you really challenge people to think about what it is. I'll bet you $1, and don't collect because I don't have the money, but I'll bet you $1 if you dig down to 5 to 8 whys of what you're doing there. It's about building relationships, and it's about building a sense of community, and it's about making connections. And for some of us older people, it's about creating opportunities to build a community so people can make connections. And what are we talking about? We're talking about building a culture. We're talking about taking intentional time in September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and June for the 10 weeks of camp, or flip that, right? We're taking the time in the summer to plan the after school programs or the preschool programs or the whatever program. And we are doing nothing for me without me, right? So we're not doing it in a vacuum. We're not sitting here as the CEO and alphabet VP of whatever, alphabet soup people, right? We're not sitting here doing this without engaging the people it's going to affect. So without asking the kids, asking the quiet kid, by the way, that's important. But asking the kids, asking their parents where we want to go and what we want to do. We don't want to do anything for me without me. I don't want to do that, because I can create I could write a good vision statement that you will read and you'll be like, wow, you do that? No, we don't do that. But that's what I want to do.
Sounds good.
Instead of like, what are we really doing here? How do we connect? And how do we create this culture of understanding and empathy? At least this is how I speak, right? And you may be like, I don't want any of that, right? But how we create this positive, engaging culture. And when we do this, we want to, happy, healthy, and safe. That's my vision for Youth Development Pro and
Hmm.
all the things that we do.
Awesome. Well, before we
Sure.
continue on with this conversation, we're going to take a quick break. So, everybody, this is your moment. Stretch your legs, go get your drink, go get your snack. Do not go too far and come right back. All right. We'll see you in a minute. Are you a program provider or administrator struggling with planning day-to-day logistics for your after-school program? Or maybe you have a complete brain freeze when it comes to planning program activities. Eh. Or somewhere along the lines of when it's time to plan your activities, you have no idea where to start. What if I told you you don't have to figure those things out by yourself? Hi, my name is Janice Lee. I'm a former after-school program director and the founder of School After Hours Consulting, where we help youth program managers create impactful programs that ensure student success. With my 20 years of experience, I can definitely help you figure out all those things. Book a free 20-minute discovery call where we can get to know each other a little bit more, see if we can find simple solutions to your current challenges, and if you need it, we can see how we can work together. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. We have our wonderful guest, Michael Garcia, here, and we're talking about building positive program culture. So, Michael, we left off on talking about the importance of having vision and a mission for your programming, but not only that, including your youth and your community in that process. But as you are building this programming, it leads me to another question of when should expectations be talked about when building culture?
So before you start building culture, like you can't surprise it on people. You can't say, we've been going 150 miles an hour because we work with kids and that's what it feels like, right? We've been going 150 miles an hour and we are going to make the hardest left-hand turn possible. Now, like you can't do that. You can't. This is all a long process. This is something you work on for 10, 15, 20 months before you make the full switch. You can always do tweaks, right? They can always make sure you turn the left hand signal on, right? We're letting people know this is what we're doing. We're doing this. You can also, you start to hit the brakes when people, and one of the things as a supervisor to do is say, somebody comes in and say, I want to do this. And your answer shouldn't be like, well, we don't have the money, because that's the first answer, right? Because you don't have the money. And guess what? You don't have the money. But your answer should be why. And then when they say, well, we want to do it because of this, okay, how does that meet our mission and our vision?
Right.
Well, we're here to take care of kids. So no. How does what you want to do actively work towards meeting our mission and vision? And if they can't articulate that, give them time, right? Like, surprise, but give them time to figure it out and have them come to the realization saying, oh, we want to add a pool table in our multi-purpose room. Have you ever lifted a pool table? Have you ever tried to move a pool table? Is this a multi-purpose room or is this a pool room? It's okay if you want to change it to a pool room if that new program meets all the marks that you need for the program you're running. Well, I'm not going to put a pool table in a room that one week needs to be a movie theater because we're doing an overnight sleepover, and then the next week needs to be a Foursquare tournament inside because it's raining, and then the next week it needs to be a blah 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 blah. And like, that's not advice, and we don't need to take it because somebody donates it to us. Say it with me, everybody. We don't need to take it because somebody, even if they're on the board, we don't need to take it because somebody donated to us. Because you end up with a box of doilies from 1953. I know, go into one of your closets somewhere, dig around in the back. You got and I'm doing air quotes if you're just listening off through the audio, a box of doilies a box of garbage that somebody donated 20 years ago that's still sitting there. And we can't throw it out because Diane, whose kids used to go back here in 1984, is so sweet and she's a donor or she's a board member and she donated this. You're never going to use it, throw it out. You don't need to take it if it's donated. You can say thank you and you could recycle it. You can donate it to a place that's actually going to use it. That box of doilies would go great at a senior center, but not with my 9-year-old kids. They don't care. I don't even know what a doily is. And guess what? Just like cursive, we never need to teach them again. There's no reason for it. It's gone. Leave it alone. And because I was abused doing it, doesn't mean I have to abuse you by making you do it, right? So we need to hold on and understand what our culture is, what our community is, and how we're going to get there together, not by myself. Again, nothing for me without me, how we're going to get there together. And we need to do that as supervisors. We need to do that by modeling the behavior that we see. And we can't make that left-hand turn quick because I'm still screaming at the top of my lungs or throwing things across the room. I do like to throw things across the room. Okay, I'm going to lay that out there. It's fun. It relaxes me. It really doesn't, but I like to think it does. But if I'm doing that with kids in the program, if I'm doing that out in this pool room that we've created, this billiards hall in my multi-purpose space, if I'm doing all these things and not preparing for that left-hand turn that's coming down the pike, and I'm not communicating that, and I'm not making sure my staff's on board, and I'm not making sure the parents are on board, I'm not making sure the kids, yes, the kids need to be on board as well. If I'm not making sure all of the community stakeholders are on board, I have no right to destroy this program by just making a hard left-hand turn because I think it'd be cool. I have no right. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. And guess what, my friends? In the 30 years I've been doing this, I've done that and I've been wrong.
So once you have established what you want your expectations to be with your staff, well, how do you begin to communicate and how do you begin to set those expectations for your youth that are participating in programming? Because we all have to be on the same page if we're operating in the community.
And you're the director, right? You're the vice president, you're the CEO, whatever your title is, your program director. You are responsible for leading, right? You are responsible for making those programmatic decisions to make that left-hand turn, right? You are responsible for that. That is your job. You need to be able to communicate it clearly in your head and verbally at the levels of the people who need to be there. There's a when I'm talking to the CFO is completely different than I'm talking to the bilingual parent who speaks Spanglish, right? Like those are two different conversations. And the Spanglish one up here is a lot harder than the CFO conversation. The CFO conversation is after we make this switch, we're going to have 17 more FTEs clearing out space for a whole other classroom. Okay, that's easy, right? Checkbox, money, I got it. FTE is a full-time equivalent of a child. If you guys don't know, you have to learn the horrible CFO talk. You need to know that. That's part of your job. But having that in conversation with that Spanglish family that, to be honest with you, impacts their child's life. That's all they give a crud about. And so having that conversation with them and being able to articulate how it's going to impact them in a positive way and getting them on board is what you need to do. And if you don't have the skills to do that, develop them. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds pretty blunt, and that's about as blunt as I get. You need to just develop them. You need to work on them. You need to be able to tell your story and how that story is going to help communicate. And then you also need to be able to say, oh, well, I was going this way and it's not a hard left anymore, but it's still a pretty good left because you affected change in my life. And now I see that I don't need to go as hard left as I needed to go. I need to just, maybe I need to stay the course a little bit. And so instead of 15 months out, that hard left is going to hit, but it's going to be a slow curve because I'm going to do a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here. And then in the end, in 3 years, we've made the full left, but it was more like a curve. Right?
That's good. And it's something that happens over time. And sometimes I feel like within programming, we get stuck because we have this whole rollout in the beginning of the year. And then by the time that we get to the end, it's like, oh, we may have hit some of the things, but not all of the things. So let's change everything. I'm like, wait, too hard of a left, too hard of a
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. 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 And I think the easy way to build it in is you have to change, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
leading this. So you're the one who has to change. And if you want to create a more professional air, you're the one who needs to dress nicer before you require them to dress nicer. Right? Like, I mean, that's a simple thing, but that's an idea. Everybody can kind of imagine that. Like we want to move from t-shirts to polos. Well, guess what? As the director, you're moving from polos to dress shirts. Then you can have your staff move to polos.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's that kind of, what are the steps? You need to create rituals. You need to create rhythms. You need to create this wave that's going to go. And then I'll tell you, at a certain point, you just sit back and that wave's going to roll and keep going. And the staff are going to be like, well, I think I'm ready to do this. Oh man, if you have a staff person who ever says to you, oh man, I think I'm ready to do this, and they can pass the 5 whys. Well, why? Well, why? Well, why? And keep going through 5 of them, at least, if not 8 or 10. If they can do that, here it is. Give it to them. Let
Exactly.
them do it.
There we go.
Let them lead the change. Let them design parts of the day. Let them just change the schedule. Go. Show me. You're not going to start it tomorrow, but show me the schedule that you want. First of all, you can see how hard it is because it's not easy. And no software out there makes it easy. I'm not laying it out unless I don't have that kind of money. But let them lead it. They want to introduce Gaga? Great. Give me the rules, give me the regs, give me the safety, give me the cost, and give me how it's going to be rolled out. And then tell me how Gaga is not going to be the default to boredom. Oh, we don't want to do anything with the kids, so we're going to let them do Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to do. So we control it, but let them own it. Let them develop it. Let them design it. Let them pass it through you so they can see their success.
Right. And I think that's how you begin to get that buy-in that you talk about, because they had time to develop it, they had time to be a part of it. So once they've gotten the behind the scenes view, because it's different. It's a little different. Once they've gotten the behind the scenes view, then they're like, oh, okay, this is why this is what this is and how it goes, the way it
Yeah.
goes, or why it goes the way that it goes. What also brings me to my other question for you, this will probably be the last one for this segment, is getting not just staff buy-in, student buy-in, but community buy-in in your culture. So how do
Yeah.
you begin to get those things on all those levels when it comes to building culture in general for your program?
I think I said it before. You have to be able to articulate the mission and vision of what you're doing and why the change is important. And we don't do anything. We should never be doing anything we've done 5 years ago. Like it just needs to change. We don't do anything the same way. We use that crutch, and then we're instantly able to say, well, we don't like we've always done it that way mentality. Then why are you doing it that way? Why are you, well, because it works. Does it? Does it really? Why does it work? Who does it engage? How do we build on it? How do we build the connections? How do we build the relationships? And then how does it really work? Do we do things because we've always done it, because it makes money, or does it make an impact? And if you can move away from making money to making an impact, the community will rally behind you in a heartbeat with money. They will, and you just need to be able to communicate it clearly, and you need to be able to, at all levels, be able to speak the speak. You need to be able to talk to the families at their level. You need to talk to the volunteers. You need to talk to the staff. You need to talk to the senior leadership of your organization, and you need to be able to talk to the community stakeholders. And the ones who always hate you, you need to be able to talk to them. You need to be able to talk to the naysayers. You need to be able to talk that in 1984, you pissed off this mom who is now a community leader because her son didn't get to do anything he wanted to do in 1984, which, by the way, I ran programs in 1984. We let them do whatever the heck they wanted. But anyway, back in 1984, that parent, and now your organization has never done anything right since her special child, who is well advanced for his age. And, we've all heard it, right? That kid, right? The other kid, not the kid we talked about before, but that kid, right? Yeah. You need to be able to talk to her and talk her down.
All right.
And you don't have to change her mind. You just need.
That is so true. Well, that is all great information, Michael. Thank you for being here with us today, giving us so much information. But before we go, we're going to go ahead and do our last segment, which is Professionals Lounge. The segment of the show that allows guests to share advice with other practitioners in the OST and youth development field about how they can begin growing their gifts and talents, but also develop themselves as professionals in the field. Here's our Professionals Lounge conversation. All right, everyone, we have made it to the end of our show, which is our Professionals Lounge segment. So, Michael, my question for you for Professionals Lounge is, what advice would you give to people who are interested in pursuing a career in youth development?
Don't do it! Run away! No, sorry. I'm just kidding. Actually, run towards it's the best. We have the best career. I know you're going to hear that from everybody who loves their job, but I think the couple of big things I would take away for is always be present. Be with who you are when you're with them. You are spending the most equity you can when you're talking to another human being. Put your phone down. Stop writing your notes. Stop taking details like that. Be present and be the best version of you that you can muster at that time. And I know that can change sometimes, even in a day. I could be a great listener, great person, and then the other part of the day, not so much. And then I have a cup of coffee, and then I'm back to the great listener kind of part of it. So I think the other big thing is which I did not do and have done in recent years, the past 15 or 20 years, is be a lifetime learner. Like, listen to the descending voice. Listen to, if you're like run a nature outside, environmental, definitely listen to those pros in that area. Listen to that environment. Listen to the people who build video games, because they know how to keep the attention of kids, right? So listen to how they manipulate. You see how I use that negative word? And I didn't mean to. So this is, again, how you correct yourself, how you check yourself, how they reinforce what their goals are, right? And so how do you use that learning to engage in nature, in science, and whatever your goals are for your organization? And learn and listen and educate yourself and ask questions and own being wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And if you're going to be wrong, be really wrong. Like, do it with some gusto. It's fun. It's
Do it
fun.
with flair.
Yeah. And like, this work matters. Like, we're creating better people, and not just the kids. We're creating better people. We're creating better peers. We're creating better staff. And this is where the crunchy granola Michael Garcia comes out. And, we should all hug and love each other, whatever. Don't hug me. I'm not about that. But, we're here to affect change in somebody's life. And it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay to be right. And it's okay to be right and silent. And that's all right. Right? You're just here to be empathetic. Go on YouTube, watch a bunch of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Even the weird ones where you think it's super weird and outdated, it's always a message in there. That man was a genius when it came to empathy, understanding, and being ahead of the curve, and using his power to help others and open space for others to be in that not everybody else was letting in the door. So,
and what would you tell our more seasoned site directors and leaders?
shut up. I like, respectfully, like, that wasn't meant as mean as like, shut up. Shut up. Listen, do nothing for me without me. If you want to engage with African American boys between the ages of 10 and 12 years old with no male role models in their life, and because you were one, dude, it's 2025. You don't know what they're going through. So shut up and listen to what they're telling you. Listen. Oh, we want them to be outside in nature. They don't want to do it, and that's okay. That's a long goal. That's a long goal. Engage them now, connect with them now, build relationships with them now. And then you can start saying, hey, when I was a kid, I liked to do this. Anybody want to go fishing? Well, I don't want to go fishing. Well, why? Well, because I've never gone fishing before. Awesome. How can we practice here? Magnets and metal fishing. Like we could do this here without going near the water, which you're a non-swimmer, so that's scary. We're not going in a boat because nobody wants that, right? Like, so what are the barriers we can make them comfortable to get them to eventually connect with them? Don't do anything without anybody, but really just you hired this person for a reason.
Mm.
You saw greatness in them. So shut up and let them be great.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for being with here. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, you also have a book out, so I want you to go ahead and share that, or get any of your services. How would they find you?
Smoke signals mostly is kind of the best way to do this. So my website's youthdevelopmentpro.com. So it's pretty simple. I'm a youth development pro, so are you. So come on to my website. Right on my website, you can purchase Becoming a Modern Mentor. It's the book we've already talked about, so I'm not going to shamelessly plug that. I do have another book that's out. It's called The Pocket Guide for Summer Camp Staff. That one's been out for a couple of years. If you run a summer camp, day or overnight, doesn't make a difference. It is a Mad Libs fill in the blank guide to staff training. So instead of staff just sitting there being passive, they actually have to fill out this book that you give them, and they take it with them, and Pocket Guide's there for all summer. One of the big things that's happening right now, it's training season. So on my website, there's a tab down that says training guides, and there are lesson plans. So if you're a director and you are looking for how to have your unit leaders who have never really taught before, how to redirect behavior and not punish it, that's a great training, right? Or, one of my favorite ones that goes off a lot is how to be the most fun counselor without losing control, right? And so instead of you being the only voice as the director or assistant director, these are trainings that you could give to your unit leaders. The lesson plans are all built in. Almost all of them have handouts, things like that. And they can facilitate them. And it's already been approved. It's already been run through. Everything from how to make inclusion a daily practice at your camp, how to handle tough camper questions. So like if somebody passes away or we're really having some conflict, and how to handle that in an appropriate way, managing conflict, reading the room. Ready? Here's a thing that younger staff have challenges with: reading the room, body language 101. Like teach them what body language looks like and how to address it and how to hold back on their own. And then there's like activities. There's about 8 or so activities that you actually give the lesson plan to the camp counselor to run with their group. So how to run a cabin meeting, how to run games based around social emotional learning. And all of these things have activities built into them. I even nerded a little bit because I'm a nerd. The Goblin Knights Errand. It is actually a non-dice D&D role-playing game that you can actually play with your group. So you can give it to a cabin and they can play the whole game with their group, from creating a character and everything. It's all included in the things. Rainy day activities, because everybody needs rainy day activities. Icebreakers, how to run free play activities. And then if you're a camp or you're looking to bring something different to your camp, I have program activities. So hatchet throwing, how to use knife whittling, slingshots, all the lessons, how to set them up, what to buy, where to get them, and all that stuff. Creating a journal, shelter building, and survival basics. That's kind of a really fun one. And then this one that actually just came out today, kindness challenges and daily prompts. So it's really a lot for after school. This one, you can use it in a camp environment, but it's 30 days of kindness challenges and daily prompts that you can use in your programs. And then for the directors, we actually have something, creating a culture guidebook. And so how to create a culture in your program. It's a 10-month long thing. So how to build your core values, and actually teaches you how to write policies. And then how do you teach this culture to your community, and not just listen to this amazing podcast, but what are the other ways you can do it yourself? And then the big one, parent communication, how to actually build a parent communication plan. We don't communicate enough, or we don't communicate the way parents want to be communicated with. because, wait for it, we didn't ask. And so that's part of it, how to do that and all the things. So yeah. So you can find that all on youthdevelopmentpro.com. I do consulting, I do mentoring, I do speaking. I write a weekly blog that comes out every Tuesday. It's come out every Tuesday since October, I think it was like 3rd or something like that last year. And I made a commitment to write them for at least a year, and I love it. So, and each one of the blogs, it's called Empower and Engage. And it's right on the website as well. The blog not only talks about what that week's topic is, but it also gives 4 or 5 examples on how to achieve it. So it's not just a listen to Michael rant, but it also says, this is what I can do.
Well, everyone, that brings us to the end of our show. If you liked what you heard and you enjoyed our conversation, make sure that you're following us on YouTube, but also hit that like button so we know what you are enjoying. You can also find us on other podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts if you want to listen to our audio version as well. To get more behind the scenes stuff, make sure that you're following us on our social media accounts, Instagram and Facebook at School After Hours. Well, that's all I have for today. In the words of Mr. Arthur Ashe, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Until next time, y'all. Bye-bye.